My name is Patricia Jones Darvell, and I am the only daughter of Frank and Dorothy Jones. Frank and Dorothy graduated with the class of 1950 at Oakwood College. My parents met at Oakwood and dated while they matriculated at Oakwood. Frank and Dorothy, along with several of their classmates like Elder and Mrs. George Rainey and Elder and Mrs. Robert Carter, developed lifelong matrimonial bonds. My parents were married in August of 1950 and remained married until my father fell asleep in Jesus in 2007. We heard a lot of interesting stories about Oakwood College back in the day. The milk tasted like onions because the cows ate the spring onions. My mom was good friends with the president's daughters, and she got into a lot of mischief with Miss Kitty Peterson Palmer and her sisters. Oakwood College ignited a passion for education, service, and leadership in my parents. Those values were passed on to those that they mentored and to their children and grandchildren. Oakwood was where my parents met some of their dearest friends in ministry. Many of their peers would serve alongside them in conferences, unions, and even the General Conference. Along with my brothers, Frank and Stephen Jones, we salute the rich legacy that was the class of 1950. We look forward to the reunion with our parents and their classmates soon and very soon.
My name is Terrelyn Reeves Jackson Jemison, daughter of Benjamin Franklin Reeves Sr. Did you know? Benny, as he was affectionately called, coined the phrase, enter to learn, depart to serve. Benny was a sharp dresser, earning him the name Benjamin Reeves, Esquire. Benny didn't just walk around looking sharp. He worked in the broom factory on Oakwood's campus. He met the love of his life, Jean Manuel. She played the organ and piano. In the year 1955, a new quartet was born called the Wheels of Harmony, consisting of 4 young men: Benjamin Reeves, baritone; James Edgecombe, bass; William Scales, second tenor; and Albert Shepard, first tenor. These are the stories that were handed down about the class of 1955.
My name is Dr. Conrad L. Gill. I was a member of the class of 1960. I remember arriving at Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. It was the late 1950s, and it was the best of times, and it was also the worst of times. The worst of times because it was a time of segregation and civil rights movements. It was a time when us students snuck off campus to go to the city of Huntsville, small city, to sit in at 5 and 10 cent store counters and were pulled off our seats by police. It was a time when the inimitable George Wallace was the governor of the state of Alabama. But it was also the best of times because our teachers and instructors guided us with spiritual counsel and input and shaped our futures. I can remember several of them clearly. Dr. Obie Edwards, Dr. E.E. Rogers, Miss Emanuel, and Miss Anna Knight, Dr. Dykes, and also I can remember our president, Dr. Garland Millett. It was a time when only 7 students on the campus owned automobiles. I remember clearly because in 1958 in the fall, driving up onto our campus in a yellow Cadillac convertible was Little Richard. He was a wonderful person. So as I think about Oakwood and I think about our class, I think about how it shaped and molded us, and we did enter to learn, and we departed to serve, becoming teachers, medical personnel, ministers, 2 superintendents of schools, 2 conference presidents, and other professions, as well as great friends and colleagues.
More than 6 decades ago, our class members traveled to the Rocket City for a life-changing educational opportunity. We came as empty vessels to attend a unique and transformative college that trains students to enter to learn and depart to serve. My name is David Richardson. In 1965, I became the class president, and Kathleen Hall was our vice president. We were 2 of 30-plus students captivated by the dynamics of the Oakwood environment, its rich spiritual heritage, and its nurturing and caring professors. We were young people knocking on the academic doors of the mighty Oaks. With time, we diversified. Some became recipients of outstanding rewards from peers and professional organizations. One of our own became the mayor of the city of brotherly love. As octogenarians, we have lost many of our classmates. Nevertheless, we have Paul's assurance that we will have a more perfect reunion when we behold our God face to face. We were change agents for the college. We were courageous in our choices to correct injustices. One classmate attacked the evils of segregation by crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. To their detriment, several classmates spearheaded a campus protest to correct injustices perpetrated on the college that limited its academic credibility. We stood in a circle around the bell tower during a meeting of the Board of Trustees as we audibly prayed, boycotted classes, and held hands, protesting attempts to devalue students, faculty, and staff. This effort led the Board of Trustees to reevaluate the college's leadership. Yes, our goal to obtain the unobtainable and to maintain the obtained became a reality since we accomplished the unattainable by being forged in the crucible of the bell tower. In these final days, we are witnesses standing for the right, even though the heavens fall. Now we are faced with a great national disaster, so we are not entirely done. We still have work to do.
Hello, my name is Stanley McCall. I was the class of 1970, arriving at Oakwood in 1966. I felt that I joined a global family because as I went through my life, regardless to where I went in the world, I would always find an Oakwood connection. The time I was at Oakwood was a very tense time in the national story of the country. It was during the dismantling of Jim Crow. And I can remember a period during the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. I was very angry when I heard that story. And it was a destructive type anger that I wanted to go out and just do something to release this anger that I had. But they called all of the students together in Moran Hall. And something happened when I was in Moran Hall. It was a transition from this anger to a hope by way of faith. That the solution is not always to give in to your anger, but to channel it into hope by way of faith. I really value my Oakwood experience because I see it as a blessing that shaped my whole life and the way I approached and looked at life. And I've also noticed that that influence that I had was passed on to my children and even now my grandchildren. So I am very grateful for the opportunity that I had to be a part of this global family.
My name is Jason Edgecombe, and I am very pleased to represent the 181 graduates and honorary degree recipients who were members of the class of 1975. My Oakwood journey began in August of 1965. I like to refer to my Oakwood journey as 2 tours of duty. 1965 to 1967, under the presidencies of Addison B. Pinckney and Frank Hale Jr., and 1973 to 1975, under the presidency of Calvin Rock. The 1965 tour is noted by the arrival of James Roddy on the Oakwood campus. I arrived on the campus in 1965 from the Bronx, New York, as an elementary education major. But upon my return in 1973, I was a married student and an elementary education major. I was one of 4 males in the elementary education program. Because of Michael Childs, Charles Miller, and Henry Griffith from the class of 1976, I was able to study reasonably hard, laugh, and enjoy the rigors of student life. Each of us would go on to become teachers and administrators in denominational and public settings. I'm also pleased to note that the president of our 1975 class, Delbert Baker, would eventually become the 10th president of Oakwood. The memories and relationships shared by the class of 1975 have truly been a blessing to each of us. We are forever grateful for what God has wrought in our lives and for the exhortation of Dr. Rock to go on, and to go on.
We entered to learn. Our president was Dr. C.B. Rock. The ladies were in Peterson Hall with Dean Jones, and the men were in Cunningham Hall with Dean Tucker. Dean Jones's worships and agape feasts were inspiring. We were fortified spiritually with church services, worships, chapels, MVs, week of prayers, and midday power hours in the gym, church, and Moran Hall. Church and graduation services were held in the gym. The next year, we marched from the gym to the beautiful new church. We had great speakers who were also teachers, such as Elder E.C. Ward, Elder E.E. Cleveland, Elder E.E. Rogers, and Elder Henry Wright, and more. The music was amazing. We had a good time with the Aeolians under the direction of Alma Blackman. The college choir under the direction of Dr. Eurydice Osterman would sing and travel performing some original music. There were many choirs, groups, trios, and quartets, such as the Distinctive Friends of Jesus, Way Back When, Choir and Quartet, Step Up to Happiness Quartet, and the Harmonettes, a trio of Tammy, Ramona, and me, singing When Jesus Comes. We were graced with many great soloists like Elder T. Marshall Kelly. We ate at the cafeteria, the market, the snack bar, Stanley O's, and we also enjoyed our Friday evening sack lunches. By God's grace, we then departed to serve as God-fearing nurses, lawyers, doctors, educators, scientists, dentists, ministers, business leaders, musicians, therapists, social workers, and communicators. My name is Nanetta Joyner Presley, a member of the awesome class of 1980.
In 1985, the world was changing rapidly. Ronald Reagan was beginning his second term as President of the United States, leading a country grappling with the Cold War, economic shift, and ongoing debates over civil rights and equality. The sounds of Whitney Houston and Luther Vandross filled the airways, while movies like The Color Purple and Back to the Future captured our imaginations. Urban black gospel music was thriving, and our hearts were moved by the anointed voices of the Wymans, Andre Crouch, the Clark Sisters, Walter Hawkins, and more, all at the top of the gospel music charts. On television, The Cosby Show was redefining the portrayal of the black family, offering a vision of success and aspiration, and the Oakwood College class of '85 was saying farewell to their alma mater. It all began in 1981 when students gathered from all over the globe to enter Oakwood College. Much was going on in America and around the world, but amidst it all, Oakwood College remained a beacon of black excellence, preparing young minds to shape the future. For the class of 1985, this was a time of both triumph and transition. Oakwood beloved president Dr. Calvin Rock closed an extraordinary 14-year chapter of leadership, leaving behind a legacy of growth and academic expansion. Under his guidance, Oakwood strengthened its commitment to faith, scholarship, and service, solidifying its place as a premier HBCU dedicated to producing great leaders in this world. For the class of 1985, the memories of Oakwood are filled with friendship, faith, and purpose. Whether in classrooms, on campus grounds, or in the sanctuary, you found a calling and carried the Oakwood spirit wherever your life would take you. Today, as we look back, we celebrate the bonds that time cannot break, the dreams that started here, and the legacies that continue to shine. To the Oakwood College class of 1985, your story is one of faith, perseverance, and excellence. And no matter where you are today, Oakwood remains home.
Hello, my name is Patrick Miner, and I am honored to represent the class of 1990 for our 35th anniversary. I remember the day I was accepted into Oakwood College. I remember the sense of belonging while I was on campus. I even remember changing my major from biology to math in just one quarter, after I made an A in algebra and a D in biology. I remember taking advanced calculus with Dr. Blake while also taking organic chemistry with Dr. King. Now that was an interesting time in my life. I remember taking a Bible class with Dr. Lavender where we discussed the nature of Christ, and to this day, I still share that knowledge with others. Music was a very big part of my life while at Oakwood. I remember singing with the Aeolians under Dr. Alma Blackman's leadership and the college choir under Dr. Eurydice Osterman's leadership. And what about that amazing male quintet called Unity with songs like "Break Up with the Devil, Have You Been Going? You've been going steady with him," or "Life is a ball game and you got to play fair, and if you ain't gonna play right, then play don't you dare." Wow, I think I still have it. Just a little anyway. At our graduation in 1990, Dr. Charles Bradford was the commencement speaker. Dr. Chandra Tyler Mountain was our class president. Mr. Dwayne Rose wrote the graduation class song entitled "We've Come This Far by Faith." And indeed we have. What wonderful memories we have together. Let's continue to create new experiences that support our cherished Oakwood University in educating the next generation until our beloved Savior Jesus Christ returns.
Our dear Oakwood College, nestled in the Tennessee Valley of Huntsville, Alabama. I am DeAndrea Collins, and I am representing the class of 1995. It was the early 1990s that the class of 1995 matriculated on the grounds and journeyed through a time that would set them on a new course of excellence. It's been 30 years, and these young men and women promised to become future leaders. It was during this time that the fashion of the day was baggy and ripped jeans, braids, relaxers, high-top fades, paisley button-down and silk shirts, stone-washed overalls, 2-inch shoulder pads, and any other clothing that the cast of A Different World were wearing after season 3, that is. Musical groups were formed and became our favorites with Connect 5 and Love Divine. DP and Revelation 14 were in their infancy. We loved groups like Witness and Commissioned. Friday evenings, just after Sunset to Sunset with Ivy Starks, brought the love of Joy Notes, Walking to Forum at Mosley Complex, AY in Moran Hall, and later in the skating rink. Of course, there were curfews, and we all knew that Sister Girl and Carter Hall did not play. We had cherished friends and campus families, found love, and formed families for the kingdom of God. We praised God through good times and bad times, financial clearance, food in the caf, Thursday soul food at the deli. We formed friendships through various clubs and organizations like WSB and SIFE and Bell Tower Ministries, Morning Light, USM. Our yearbook themes began 30 years of excellence as we were on a mission. It was time, and we were a new power generation with strength and unity. Class of 95 made it happen. We entered to learn and departed to serve.
In the fall of 1996, a bold and vibrant group of students stepped onto the campus of Oakwood College, ready to embrace a world in motion and a campus in transformation. I'm Kybra Menasee, a proud member of the class of 2000, and our journey began at a pivotal moment. That same year, Dr. Delbert Baker began his presidency, marking the start of a new era at Oakwood. Oakwood's motto, "Enter to learn and depart to serve," was more than words. It was our reality. In the classrooms and labs, under the guidance of passionate professors, we sharpened our minds and discovered our purpose. We were challenged, inspired, and equipped to go out and make a difference. Music was the heartbeat of our Oakwood experience. The Aeolians, under the direction of Dr. Lloyd Mallory, left us breathless with every performance. Songs like "The Lord Be Praised," featuring the unforgettable voice of Anika Sampson, still echo in our hearts today. Dynamic Praise, led by Benji Young, was the powerhouse gospel choir on campus, full of energy, passion, and purpose. And those recruitment trips where both choirs toured the country, they weren't just performances. They were powerful ministry moments that had young people everywhere dreaming of attending Oakwood. Our time at Oakwood was more than just a college experience. It was a transformation. We grew academically, spiritually, and personally. 25 years later, we return with gratitude and pride. Oakwood wasn't just a place where we studied. It was where we were shaped. Here, we entered to learn, and from here, we departed to serve. Here's to the class of 2000.
In the fall of 2001, a group of ambitious, energetic, and enthusiastic students descended on the verdant grounds of Oakwood College. Teenagers, naive and innocent, we came full of hopes and dreams. Our innocence and naivety were quickly shattered by the tragedy of September 11, 2001. As we gathered in dorm lobbies, classrooms, and the Student Center, we grieved, we prayed, and we held each other up. In the face of the unknown, we chose resilience. Like our ancestors and alums, we turned our sorrow into song. From Moran Hall, we lifted our voices in dynamic praise under Dr. Benji Young. From Peters Hall, under Dr. Lloyd Mallory, the Aeolians traveled the world representing Oakwood's excellence. From Edwards Hall, we celebrated in harmonic voices of triumph. We marched, sang, and served to the beat of our own drum in naps. Nathan Anderson produced some of the most memorable USM albums, and Jessica Brazier became a key voice of WOCG radio, guided by Victoria Joyner Miller. Lifelong relationships were built on the foundation of music. However, there was more than just music. We were scholars, student leaders, artists, athletes, debaters in Moran Hall, and lifelong friends forged through long hours in Eva B. Dykes Library. Some of us met our future spouses hanging out at the Roddy Auditorium or at the skating rink, while others spent endless nights in West Oaks talking about life, faith, and the future. We found refuge in the traditions and culture of our beloved institution under our president, Dr. Delbert Baker. In 2004, we used our Oakwood email addresses to join the then unknown Facebook, changing how we connected forever. Our class has produced renowned entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, professors, pastors, journalists, social media influencers, and entertainers. As we celebrate our triumphs, we honor those who are no longer with us, our classmates and friends who started this journey with us but did not make it to today. We miss them and cherish their memory, knowing their legacy lives on through us. We walked onto this campus in 2001 as young dreamers, and today we return as leaders, innovators, and world changers. This is our story. This is our legacy.
It was the fall of 2006, and boy, was it hot. For those of us from the South, it was another summer day in August. For most of the freshman class of 2010, they had never experienced heat like a humid day in Alabama in the summer. Hello, my name is Morgan McGee, and I am the class president for the class of 2010. As a native Alabamian, it was not a long trek to the great Oakwood University, but one that surely changed my life. As freshmen entering campus, our freshman men did not realize that they were the last class of distinguished gentlemen to ever live in Peterson Hall, or that each spring as classes were coming to a close, that the women of Carter could be seen double dutching in front of the dormitory. Wow, such precious memories. As a biology student, I have a distinct memory of a baby calf who chose our hallowed ground as a place of rest and relaxation. Many will remember the Jerry the Calf era. For whatever reason, Jerry chose Cooper Complex as its home and on any given day could be seen enjoying the sun on the lawn. One of our class's most memorable experiences had to be the election of the first Black president of the United States, our president, Barack Obama. As it was many students' first time voting in a presidential election, it was quite a time to be on campus. And when the votes came in and teachers started pushing back exams, boy, did we celebrate, and then celebrate some more. As each year came to a close, students patiently waited the release of the USM album. One in particular that stuck out to me was the Experience Renewed. I wonder, do they still release those? And if so, how do I get my hands on one? Wow, such fond memories. And here we are, 15 years later, holding on to those memories and excited for a future yet to come.
My name is Leandra Joseph, and I am the senior class president of the class of 2015. The senior class of 2015 is and was still such a dynamic, driven, and tight-knit class. I still remember stepping foot on campus for the first time in 2011, and I knew absolutely no one because, unlike everyone, I was coming all the way from Alaska. It was my very first time in the Deep South and also being on an HBCU campus, and it truly was a life-changing experience. I was welcomed with open arms immediately. As I said, we are a tight-knit class, and so from freshman year all the way to senior year, we supported one another, we cried, we laughed, we celebrated, we worked hard together, and we made the most life-changing memories together. And so we are so happy to be back 10 years later to celebrate with each other, fellowship with each other, all of our successes over the past 10 years. And we are so glad to be back together on this campus.
I'm Zoe McIntosh, and not to be biased, but our class was truly different. We saw culture collide with our campus, with visits from gospel legends like Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams, and Donnie McClurkin.
I'm Ariane McCullough, and I refer to our class as the graduating class of COVID-19. Despite our graduation ceremony being significantly smaller than we had hoped, we still showed up and celebrated anyway. Everyone in their masks, unsure if it was safe to hug or high five, but still excited to be there together as a class.
Hey, this is Monty Newbill, and our class motto was Dare to Live a Life of God's Vision and Purpose. While the world paused, we pressed forward. We launched businesses, we pursued dreams, and we ultimately let God lead the way and have his way. That's how we lived our lives during that time, with courage, with faith, and with purpose.
I'm Nirvana Walton. What made us special wasn't just the big moments, it was the everyday ones. We had deep talks after AY and saw rising groups like the Oakwood All-Star Cheerleading Team, the Pride Step Team, Project O, and Unspoken Praise become staples on campus. And now, 5 years later, we're watching our classmates level up by starting families, getting married, excelling in grad school, and thriving in their careers.
I'm Star Davis. Our class motto says it best. Today, well lived, makes a yesterday a dream of happiness, and tomorrow a vision of hope. Even through uncertainty, we dare to hope, and now we're seeing that hope come to life.
Class of 2020, as we celebrate 5 years, let's remember that we've come a long way and the best is yet to come.